Good morning. 10:39 in the Pacific Northwest and probably California as well. Um, yeah, this whole process of doing these videos is a new process for me. I've been doing them for just a few months, and I've seen kind of a natural rhythm come into them where it represents my life in a way where in the morning I take a look at what the Mayan calendar day says. And then I typically do a tarot reading for the family, just kind of get a sense of where we're at, maybe what we're working with that day. It's yeah, there's um, there's a lot going on for I'd say many of us who are in bodies on a planet that is kind of reconfiguring itself, just like I'm doing in front of that chair. And so, one of the things I've noticed, even though I feel like the videos that I've done have been very useful for me because they bring a lot of information in that I mostly get in the dream world. So when I say when they bring it in, it may be that the beings that I'm working with in the dream world are kind of helping me to bring information in, but the information that they bring in is most useful to me. And so it's caused me to be very excited because for the last, I'd say 14 years, I've attended two different dream schools, one for 7 years, and it feels like this one for 6 or 7 years. Um, and this one, the first one, the first 7 years, I attended the school for delinquent shaman. And I don't need to explain what it means, although I might. But some of us who are here to assist with this world process have maybe not stepped up to the plate, if we want to use the sports, because I grew up in a male sports family, so I would use a male sports image, unless I could start coming up with better ones. But it's like when you step up to the plate. So if you're a young man with older brothers who are athletically somewhat functional and made the major leagues of little league and maybe you were that kid that got up in a crucial moment and got a hit and won the game. I was not that kid. I was that kid that would get up at the plate and be terrified that if I struck out, our team would lose. And so, even with those tremendous fears, I ended up playing baseball through high school, through my senior year in high school. Don't ask me why. A sport I actually liked a lot better was tennis. And if you were on a team and you lost your match, well, so did other people. And if enough people won their matches that your team won the tournament, then everybody felt good. But in baseball, if you're the individual that strikes out for the last out of the game with runners on base, and if you had just hit the ball and gotten a hit, that the other runners would have scored and your team would have won. That kind of pressure was a bit much for me. And I didn't fare well in those circumstances. Later on in life, I did fare well uh, in circumstances that I found myself in, where I had helped to create a process in chiropractic called biogeometric integration. And the process that the woman Sue Brown and I created um, went from being a small thing that she and I were doing for 30 people in a class to a big thing very quickly. And she and I were the only one that understood it. So we're the only ones that could be the instructors. We brought in another person as an instructor who is also had been really working with the process and understood the process. And it was upon my suggestion that we brought this person in, that we needed another person, and then we had three. So I taught that process for 5 years. In the last year that I was teaching, we had grown so large, and it still was only the three of us teaching. And we had grown so large that we actually had a team of 20 people that were in training to become instructors. You know, to step into that type of situation is kind of like stepping up to the plate. Anyway, there's the people that were training to be instructors were being trained by the people that were the two best people in the world, three best people in the world at this process, because we had made it up. So if you make it up, like, you know, people aren't going to be as good at it initially as you are. So it was really hard. And then in the last year, we had courses scheduled for the entire year. I was doing the hands-on training process with my teaching partner, the other person, and with 9 months of training to go in the year, he had to quit. Some family things happened, and he had to quit, which meant that I had to double my teaching load. And that, and I was successful. So all my training of just forgiving myself and doing the best I could, and not taking it personally, not assuming, and just being impeccable with my word. I did that 9 months. I was traveling twice a month for the weekend, teaching classes all over the country. And the experience kind of peaked in December at the master training for the people who had been studying with us for 4 or 5 years. And we'd do this major training that would teach people the newest stuff that we were working with. And I made it through that. And then I realized that my entire life was going to collapse if I didn't stop. So I did stop. And the 20 people that we had trained to be instructors took over my position. And I heard from some of them later that actually all 20 of them took some position that I had held in the teaching organization. And I was having a discussion about that this morning with my stepdaughter about how we find ourselves in circumstances that at times feel like they could kill us. And once I stopped teaching, and once I went back to just my practice of seeing a lot of clients in a week, but I was no longer spending my weekends teaching other people to do what we were doing, I just began sitting on a boat with a fishing pole and a fishing line and a bobber, And basically, at a certain point, I just curled the hook so it would just hold the fish, hold the bait, but wouldn't catch the fish. So they would take it in, they'd pull the bobber down. I'd feel that fun, and then they would just eat the bait and leave. So that was good. I just sat on a boat and stared at a bobber for much of a year. I mean, there was other things I did, but I brought my life back into balance again. I had somehow created a life that was a life that would have made 20 people busy. I felt successful in that I made it through that last 9 months. I felt kind of sad that I had put my body through that difficult time. And I've come into a better relationship with my body since that time, where I'm just like, okay, you can't do this? Okay, fine, we can't do this. And so I think we're all, I'd like to find a different way to put it, but the way I would put it is that we're all in challenging times. And challenging times can lead us to finding strengths we didn't know we had. So I think that will be a video, and then I think I'll start this again to do the Mayan calendar video. So now let's go.